Hiya. So it's me again. And I haven't made a video in ages, but I felt like this definitely needed, or I feel like I need to input my 2 cents into this, and it needs to be discussed because this is very important for, the Maple community and understanding, the ramifications of your actions. So I'm gonna put the long story short. I don't want to go into, the very deep dive into the details of exactly what happened. This is mostly for discussion, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So TLDR, Duky, the prominent streamer, many of you probably know because he referred to my channel quite a bit. He helped me build a platform and a guild, pretty much. So I'm always super grateful to him, and I still think he's a great guy. But yeah. So TLDR, Duky the other day got banned on the day of his liberation, which was purely a coincidence. For basically cheating. Cheating. Not directly on his main account, but an alternate account that was used to give his main account buffs. This was confirmed through logs and screenshots and pictures that have been gathered by the community. And it's pretty much set in stone now. Everybody knows that, Duky has cheated at least to some degree. And personally, I believe that whether, you're cheating on your main account or an alt account, the idea is to benefit through accelerated progression. No matter how much you benefited off the cheating in question, I think it was totally within reason for, for Nexon to give Duky a ban permanently, considering that this was not his first offense to the TOS. Because there needs to be, rigidity and strictness within the rules. Because as soon as you try to draw gray areas or gray lines, and, try to fiddle with the rules, that's when issues start to arise. So I think that it was definitely necessary for the ban to go through. Now, I don't want anybody sending hate his way. He's still a fantastic guy and he still makes fantastic content. But I was there in the stream watching with my guild yesterday, and I'm quite disappointed, if I were to be honest. I feel like once the GMs straight up said that they were reviewing the logs and there's nothing that they could do, you kind of just stand down and take the L. But obviously it didn't happen exactly that way, and it played out a little further, and truth be told, he kind of got shut down. So Duky probably will not be playing Maplestory anymore. And rightfully so. I think going for a third account would take ages once again to build, considering that it took him, 191 days to get to the point where he is. Just, people would start viewing him within a negative light. It's he pretty much, this second time around is pretty much like the silver bullet. And with the silver bullet, there's just a lesson to be learned, right? You just have to understand, cheaters never prosper. And if you play with fire, that's kind of the way you go out, right? You would assume that one would take the necessary actions beforehand when lending an account to actually see if there's anything wrong with the account. But personally, I would have just started a new account if you really needed these buffs. And like personally, it's realistically only like super useful in like the early to like mid game, because you actually do need the damage to make your life a lot easier when you do progress. When it comes to the mid, late, and end game, it's not entirely necessary, right? One could have just created their own account and, built a BT or Wild Hunter to 250, if they really needed the buffs, right? And like you can feign ignorance and say that you didn't know what was happening, but in regards to the TOS, like it doesn't necessarily matter, right? Um, it's like feigning ignorance in a court case or whatever, right? Like you can't necessarily do that. Um, Law is law for a reason, and you need to understand it strictly, right? Whether it be that the account was just shared between multiple people, which is once again A, against the TOS, or B, the fact that the fact that there was programs on that account, right? Both of which are against the TOS, and that's something that you'd probably need to understand going forward. But like besides the ramifications of his actions, I think the community also has shown their true colors, right? And I'm not one to talk, right? Obviously, we all have our issues and we're not perfect. But glorifying somebody in their downfall is definitely not something you should do, especially when he hasn't done anything to particularly harm others. You could say that maybe he's done it indirectly in terms of, portraying this fake sense of progression for other people and making them feel a lot worse about what they've accomplished in Maplestory. But I think there's much worse that has actually been done by other content creators or prominent figures on the planet, right? So I think the way that a lot of people have taken in this information is, to be scoffed at, right? And it makes the community look really bad, right? And I think a lot of content creators would be even just scared to even make content for the game, if they were to be, like if any, allegations, if you will, were put against them. But I think the real winner in this situation is Nexon. I think Nexon handled this situation perfectly. Nexon did a fantastic job starting from 8 months ago. The first ban, they just said, like, we're not going to say anything. We apologize, kind of deal. And then the second time around, they met Duky on the same playing field that he was, berating them at, right? So it was kind of like a fool me once, shame on me, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of deal. So yeah, I really do hope Duky learns from this and continues to do content, because I genuinely think that he makes some of the best content that Twitch has ever seen. But he definitely needs to understand that, trying to hide, this sense of, trying to hide the guilt is definitely not a good way of going about things. And I'm just going to keep the video raw. Obviously, monetization is going to be off. Just let me know what you guys think down in the comments about this situation, and what this could potentially mean for other content creators, the community, and Nexon themselves. But yeah, that'll be it. Until next time, I'll probably make another video explaining why I've literally disappeared off the face of the earth. That's for another video. So that'll be it. Much love. Peace.